The signal wasn't for humans, but they answered anyway. Part 1. Log entry 47293, Commander Rylik Vo's recording. Location monitoring station 7, Orion Spur. I paused the recording, staring at the holographic display before me. 15 cycles of monitoring this backwater sector of space had dulled my enthusiasm to the point where even my antenna drooped. The Galactic Council had assured me this posting was an honor, but we all knew it was punishment for that incident with the Council leader's favorite quantum yacht. How was I supposed to know those weren't decorative thrusters? Resume log, I sighed. Day 5471 of observation. Nothing of significance to report, unless you count the primitive species on Sol 3 still being obsessed with recording themselves dancing in front of glowing rectangles. Seriously, who approved this assignment? The monitoring station hummed quietly around me, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of 1,000 distant stars. My third eye caught movement, probably just another space debris. This sector was full of junk, courtesy of the humans' inability to clean up after themselves. Primitives. Station, run standard sweep of Sector 7, I commanded, more out of boredom than necessity. We'd done this dance 1,000,000 times before. Scan, report, nothing found, repeat. The perfect recipe for slowly losing your mind. Alert. Ancient signal detected. I nearly fell out of my hover chair. What? Display location. The holographic map expanded, showing a pulsing red dot near the edge of the sector. My heart started racing. This was it, my ticket out of this mind-numbing assignment. Analysis, I barked, straightening my ceremonial rank sashes. They were wrinkled from too many naps at my post, but who was going to see them out here anyway? Signal origin, ancient precursor beacon series X989. Age approximately 50,000 galactic cycles. Status active and broadcasting. I couldn't believe it. A precursor beacon. The most advanced civilization known to the galaxy vanished eons ago, leaving behind their technology like cosmic breadcrumbs. This was the kind of discovery that made careers, earned promotions, and most importantly, got you reassigned to somewhere with decent food synthesizers. Begin decoding sequence, I ordered, trying to keep my voice steady. Professional. Commander-like. And someone get me Admiral Thella Nix on the quantum comm. She needs to see this. The station's AI worked its magic, breaking down the complex signal patterns. Meanwhile, I practiced I meant to find this all along face for the Admiral. 10 minutes later, Admiral Nix's hologram flickered to life in my office. Her scaled face showed the usual mix of disapproval and resignation she reserved specially for me. Commander Voes. Please tell me you haven't crashed another quantum yacht. Admiral, no crashes today. I've found something. Something big, I gestured dramatically at the signal display. A precursor beacon. Her expression shifted from resignation to genuine interest. Show me the data. I transmitted the signal analysis, watching her eyes widen as she processed the information. This is genuine, she muttered. A grade 7 civilization signal beacon, designed to attract and test potential spacefaring races worthy of precursor knowledge. Exactly, I beamed. I'll begin preparations to secure the beacon immediately. Hold on, she interrupted, squinting at something in the data. These readings, someone's already responding to it. My antenna went rigid. That's impossible. This sector only has pre-spacefaring civilizations. The nearest advanced race is hundreds of light years away. The response is coming from Sol 3. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. Earth? The humans? Admiral? They can barely reach their own moon without throwing a parade. They're still using combustion engines and arguing about whether their planet is flat. See for yourself. She transmitted the signal trace. I stared at the data in horror. There was a clear response signal, originating from Earth, perfectly matching the complex patterns required by the precursor beacon. The primitives who spent their time watching cat videos had somehow managed to detect, decode, and respond to one of the most sophisticated pieces of technology in the galaxy. This has to be a mistake, I muttered. Maybe they accidentally broadcast the right signal pattern while trying to order one of their pizza foods. Admiral Nix's scales had taken on the pale green shade of serious concern. Intentional or not, they've done it. The beacon will recognize their response as valid. Do you understand what this means, Commander? I did. The humans, barely out of their technological stone age, had just stumbled onto the galactic stage in the worst possible way. The beacon would now begin broadcasting its vast library of precursor knowledge to Earth. What are my orders, I asked, already dreading the answer. Maintain observation. Document everything. And Rylak, she used my first name, which was never a good sign. Try not to let them blow up their planet with technology they're not ready for. Nix out. Her hologram vanished, leaving me alone with the horrifying realization that I would now have to pay attention to Earth. Actually pay attention to humans. I slumped in my hover chair, watching the beacon's signal stream steadily toward the blue planet below. Computer, update log entry. Significant development to report. Humans continue to be an inconvenience to galactic civilization. Now, with bonus ancient technology they definitely shouldn't have, and I still can't get a decent meal in this sector. The computer beeped in acknowledgement, and I swear it sounded sympathetic. At least someone in this station understood my pain. Also, I added, request immediate shipment of headache suppressants. I have a feeling I'm going to need them. The signal wasn't for humans, but they answered anyway. Part 2. Emergency Council Session 459, Standard Galactic Date 3479.6. I stood before the Galactic Council, my antenna twitching nervously as 17 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy stared down at me. The council chamber's dramatic lighting wasn't helping my anxiety. Who designed this place anyway? It looked like a theatrical production of How to Intimidate Your Subordinates, the musical. Council leader Zar Ike's massive form loomed over the assembly. All 4 of his arms were clasped together, never a good sign. Commander Voas, please explain how a species that still thinks processed cheese is the height of culinary achievement has managed to decode a precursor beacon. Well, sir, I began, pulling up my data displays. It appears the humans have been creative. Creative, the word dripped from Zar Ike's mandibles like a curse. The holographic display showed Earth's first response to the beacon. I pointed to the signal pattern. They didn't actually decode the entire message. They just noticed it was a repeating pattern, and well, they replied with the same pattern but backwards. A collective gasp echoed through the chamber. Council member Nekta, her crystalline form shimmering with distress, chimed in. But that's impossible. The beacon's security protocols are designed to prevent brute force attempts and random guessing. I finished. Nobody thought to prevent someone from just holding up a mirror to the signal, metaphorically speaking. Because it's stupid, Zarik boomed. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. It's like opening a quantum lock by asking it nicely. I checked my notes. They tried that too, actually. Called it social engineering, surprisingly effective. Admiral Nix, bless her scales, tried to bring some order to the chaos. The fact remains that humans have made contact. The beacon is now transmitting data to Earth. We need to decide how to handle this. Quarantine the system, suggested Council Member Proc, his gas-based form bubbling with agitation. Standard procedure for civilizations that advance too quickly. We can't, I said, pulling up more data. They're already building something using the beacon's data. Look at these power readings from their planet. The display showed massive energy spikes across Earth's surface. Humans were working with the precursor data at a pace that defied belief. They weren't bothering to understand the underlying principles, they were just building stuff to see what would happen. Send in the first contact fleet, Zarik decided. We'll guide them, teach them proper protocols. About that, I interrupted, immediately regretting my life choices as all eyes turned to me. We might be a bit late for first contact. Another display showed a human entertainment broadcast. Some talking head was discussing the mysterious alien signal while showing surprisingly accurate drawings of council member species. They detected our observation posts. Nekta's crystalline form crackled with shock. Not exactly. They just guessed. They've been making stories about aliens for centuries. Some of them are disturbingly accurate. They called it science fiction. I showed more images. They even guessed what our first contact protocols would be, and they're already preparing countermeasures. Countermeasures? Zar Ike's voice hit a pitch I didn't think possible for his species. against a peaceful diplomatic mission. They've seen too many movies where aliens aren't friendly. They're expecting either invasion or, quote, harvest humans for batteries, unquote. Don't ask me what that means. Admiral Nix stepped forward. We need to act fast. I propose we. She was interrupted by an urgent message flashing across the chamber's main screen. My heart sank as I read it. What Zarek asked slowly is a meme. Oh no, I muttered. The screen filled with human-made images, crude drawings of council member species with humorous captions. They'd somehow gotten photos of our observation posts and turned them into something called reaction images. They're making fun of us, Nekte realized, her crystal structure tinged with embarrassment. It gets worse, I said, scrolling through more data. They're referring to our civilizations as space bureaucrats and suggesting we're, and I quote, probably going to show up with a stack of forms to fill out and triplicate. But we are Proc bubbled indignantly. Proper documentation is the foundation of galactic civilization. Another alert flashed. I read it and felt my antenna droop. They've named their first precursor-derived defense system Big Stick Energy and decorated it with something called emoji. The council chamber erupted in chaos. 17 of the galaxy's most powerful beings arguing over how to handle a species that had essentially skipped the entire technological development queue and gone straight to chaotic neutral with advanced technology. Silence. Zar Ike's voice echoed off the chamber walls. Commander Vios, you've been studying these humans. What do you suggest? I thought about everything I'd observed about humans. Their ridiculous determination, their complete disregard for doing things the right way, their ability to turn anything, even first contact with alien civilizations, into a joke. I suggest, I said carefully, that we abandon standard protocols entirely. Gasps all around. I pressed on before I lost my nerve. Humans don't follow paths. They make their own, usually by accidentally breaking all the rules we thought were unbreakable. They've already decided we're either going to be stuffy bureaucrats or evil invaders. So let's surprise them. Let's be neither. What exactly are you proposing? Admiral Nix asked. Send me back. But this time, with a human specialist team. Let's learn how they think before we try to tell them how to think. Because right now, they're probably designing weapons to fight threats we haven't even made yet, based on their entertainment videos. Zarek was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Your suggestion goes against every protocol we have. Yes, sir. It's completely unprecedented. Like humans figuring out precursor tech by treating it like a puzzle game? Yes, sir. He sighed, all four hands massaging his temples. Very well. Assemble your team, but Rylak. Sir. If they turn our first contact into something called a viral video, it's coming out of your pay. As I left the chamber, I could hear them still arguing about the memes. Someone was demanding to know why humans had depicted council member Proc as something called a spicy air boy. I needed a drink, several drinks, and maybe one of those human pizza foods. Something told me I was going to need the energy for whatever came next. The signal wasn't for humans, but they answered anyway. Part 3. Field Report Human Technology Assessment, Day 7. I stared at my datapad, wondering how to phrase what I'd witnessed without sounding completely insane. The human facility around me buzzed with activity, literally buzzed, because they'd somehow integrated precursor quantum harmonics with something called EDM music. The result was either brilliant or horrifying. Possibly both. Commander Vo, as my new human liaison, Dr. Amanda Wright, approached with her usual grin. Ready for today's tour? I nodded, still trying to process yesterday's revelations. My antenna hadn't stopped twitching since watching humans test their first precursor-derived device by, and I quote, hitting it with a hammer to see what happens. Before we start, I said, I have some questions about yesterday's demonstration. The quantum toaster? Yeah, sorry about that. Nobody expected it to create a temporary time loop. But hey, infinite toast. I felt a headache coming on. That's not how quantum mechanics works. You can't just. Oh, we know, Amanda interrupted cheerfully. But nobody told the toast that. Come on, wait till you see what we did with the beacon's gravity manipulation data. She led me through the facility's corridors, passing dozens of research stations where humans were cheerfully violating what I'd previously thought were immutable laws of physics. One team had created what they called a quantum silly putty that could temporarily store and release gravitational energy. They were using it to play catch. Here we are, Amanda announced, opening a door to reveal a large chamber filled with humming equipment. This is where we first decoded the beacon's signal. I pulled up my notes. Yes, about that. Our analysis shows your civilization shouldn't have the computational power to. Oh, we didn't use computers, she said, pointing to a wall covered in whiteboards. Marcus over there figured it out during his lunch break. A young human waved from his desk, where he appeared to be solving complex quantum equations while watching something called cat videos on his personal device. You solved a precursor encryption sequence during lunch. Well, yeah, Marcus said, not looking up from a video of a small feline knocking objects off a table. The pattern reminded me of this puzzle game I used to play. Once you realize it's basically just a really complicated version of Simon Says in four-dimensional space, it's pretty straightforward. I stared at the whiteboards. The math was correct, but the methodology was pure chaos. They'd mixed advanced quantum theory with something called the Konami Code and references to at least 3 different entertainment franchises. This shouldn't work, I muttered. That's our motto, Amanda beamed. Want to see how we built our first quantum computer? We used old gaming consoles and a lot of duct tape. Duct tape. Universal repair tool, Marcus explained. If it moves and shouldn't, use duct tape. If it doesn't move and should, use WD-40. These are maintenance protocols for advanced technology. If it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid, Amanda quoted sagely. Come on, let's show you the really fun stuff. The really fun stuff turned out to be a testing chamber where humans were experimenting with precursor energy manipulation techniques. They'd somehow turned a sophisticated matter-energy conversion protocol into what they called an infinite pizza generator. The precursors designed this technology to create stable micro-universes, I pointed out. Yeah, but pizza is better, said the lead researcher, Dr. Priya Patel. Besides, we figured out something interesting. Watch this. She typed some commands, and the device hummed to life. A perfect pizza materialized on the platform, then began floating. We accidentally discovered anti-gravity while trying to make the perfect crust, Priya explained proudly. Turns out if you reverse the quantum flux matrix and think really hard about garlic bread, you can negate gravitational forces. I made a note: humans continue to advance technology through methods best described as vibing with it. Oh, you haven't seen the best part, Amanda said, leading me to another lab. This is where we keep the memes. The room was filled with holographic displays showing an ever-evolving collection of human-made images and videos about alien life. They'd turned speculation about galactic civilization into something called trending content. This one's my favorite, Marcus said, pulling up an image of a very serious-looking alien diplomat captioned, "When the humans solve your ancient test by turning it off and on again." Is that Council Leader Czar Ek? Is that his name? We've been calling him Space Dad in all the memes. I checked my cultural database. You're treating the leader of the Galactic Council like a paternal figure. Well, yeah, Amanda shrugged. He gives off strong disappointed but secretly proud parent vibes, especially in that speech where he tried to scold Earth for improper technological development protocols. That was an official diplomatic warning. We turned it into a remix. It's got like billion views now. The beat drops when he starts listing regulation violations. I made another note: humans respond to authority by turning it into entertainment, possibly a defense mechanism, possibly just because they think it's funny. Want to see what we did with the beacon's data about faster than light travel? Priya asked excitedly. Do I want to know? We figured out you can surf the quantum foam between dimensions if you calculate the resonance frequencies using the melody from Never Gonna Give You Up. I blinked all 3 eyes. The what? Here, let me show you. No, several researchers dove to stop her. No rickrolling the alien commander. Too late. The lab's speakers began playing what I would later learn was one of humanity's most persistent mimetic weapons. And somehow, horrifyingly, the mathematical pattern of the song did match the quantum resonance frequencies needed for interdimensional travel. I added to my notes, humans have weaponized their entertainment. Their culture is both their shield and their sword. The galaxy is not prepared. Commander Amanda's voice snapped me back to reality. Are you okay? You're looking a bit green. Well, greener than usual. I looked around the lab. Humans had taken technology designed by the most advanced civilization known to the galaxy and reimagined it through the lens of their own chaotic creativity. They weren't following the rules because they didn't know there were rules. Or maybe they just didn't care. I need to update my report to the council, I said. Oh? What are you going to tell them? I thought about everything I'd seen. The quantum toaster. The gravity pizza. The interdimensional rickroll. The way humans treated advanced technology like a new toy to take apart and rebuild their own way. I'm going to tell them the truth, I decided. That humanity's greatest strength isn't their technology or their intelligence. It's their complete inability to be intimidated by the impossible. Amanda grinned. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about our species' collective inability to take things seriously. Also, I added, I'm going to strongly recommend against trying to impose regulations on Earth. I have a feeling you'd turn our entire legal code into something called a speedrun challenge. Ooh, that's a great idea. Hey Marcus, what if we? No, I interrupted. No speedrunning galactic law. That's an order. Fine, she sighed. But can we at least keep the quantum silly putty? We're teaching it to play fetch. I looked at my datapad again, trying to figure out how to explain all this to the council. How do you tell the galaxy's most powerful beings that their careful plans for guiding developing civilizations had been completely derailed by humans treating advanced technology like a game mod? One last question, I said. Why did you respond to the beacon in the first place? You must have known it could have been dangerous. Amanda, Priya, and Marcus exchanged looks. Finally, Amanda spoke. Honestly, we just wanted to see what would happen. That's kind of our whole thing as a species. We see something interesting, and we poke it with a stick. Sometimes the stick is a sophisticated scientific instrument, sometimes it's actual stick, but we're going to poke it either way. I made my final note of the day. The galaxy has been preparing for humanity to reach the stars. We should have been preparing for the stars to meet humanity. Then I went to find some of that quantum pizza. After a day like this, I needed comfort food, even if it did float. The signal wasn't for humans, but they answered anyway. Part 4. Emergency transmission log. Earth date December 15th. The alert came during what humans called a coffee break, which I'd learned was their ritual of consuming liquid energy and complaining about meetings. I was just starting to appreciate the bitter drink when every alarm in the facility went off at once. Commander Vo's Admiral Nix's hologram burst into existence, her scales a pale shade of panic. We have a situation. The swarm has returned. I spit out my coffee. Amanda, who had been showing me something called funny dog videos, sat up straight. The swarm, I stammered. But they've been dormant for centuries. What's the swarm? Amanda asked. Imagine every horror movie alien you've ever seen, I explained, but worse, and they reproduce faster than your internet memes. So basically space rabbits, but evil. The swarm has already consumed 3 outer colony worlds, Admiral Nix continued. The Council's diplomatic team attempted communication. And they ate the diplomats. Amanda winced. Not very diplomatic of them. The Council is convening an emergency session, Nix said. Commander, bring your human team. We need alternatives. 20 minutes later, we stood before the Council again. The chamber's usual dramatic lighting had been replaced by emergency red, which really didn't help the mood. Council leader Zar Ik looked like he'd aged a century. The swarm has evolved since their last appearance. Our standard containment protocols are failing. They've developed counters to all our conventional weapons. Because you're being conventional, Amanda muttered beside me. You have something to add. Human Tsar Ike's four arms crossed simultaneously. Amanda stepped forward. Look, from what Commander Vos told me, you've been fighting these things the same way for centuries. Following protocols, using approved tactics. No wonder they've adapted. You need to get weird. Weird council member Nektia's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. Yeah, weird. Unpredictable. Do stuff that doesn't make sense. That's humanity's specialty. I watched understanding dawn on Zarik's face. You have a plan. Better. We have several plans, and they're all terrible ideas that just might work. Priya. Dr. Patel stepped up, carrying what looked like a pizza box. Remember our quantum pizza experiments? Well, we've been thinking about weaponizing them. Weaponizing Pizza Council member Proc bubbled skeptically. Not exactly. We figured out how to use the matter-energy conversion principles to create what we're calling a reverse entropy bomb. It makes things go backwards. That's impossible, Nektia stated flatly. Yeah, we get that a lot, Amanda grinned. Marcus, show them the test footage. The chamber filled with holographic images of a test chamber. In it, a small device activated, and everything within its radius began moving in reverse. Water flowed uphill. Broken objects reassembled themselves. Time itself seemed to hiccup. Now imagine that on a tactical scale, Priya said. The swarm's biological processes would reverse faster than they could adapt. And the pizza box, Ike asked weakly. Oh, we just got hungry during testing. But check this out, Marcus. Show them Plan B. Marcus stepped forward, holding what looked like a child's toy. We call this the quantum yo-yo. It creates localized paradox fields. You weaponized paradoxes. I felt my antenna trying to hide behind each other. More like we weaponized confusion, Marcus explained. The swarm operates on a hive mind, right? Well, what happens when half the hive suddenly thinks it's Tuesday 2 weeks ago? The council chamber erupted in arguments. Half the members were shouting about impossibilities and protocol violations. The other half were demanding to know how humans had developed these technologies in the time it usually took most species to figure out basic quantum theory. Silence. Zarik's voice boomed. Human Amanda, these weapons, they violate every known law of physics. Yeah, but physics started it, she shrugged. Besides, we have a whole list of options. We've got the Mimetic Warfare Division working on ways to rickroll the entire swarm at once. Our social media team figured out how to weaponize cat videos. Turns out you can encode quantum disruption patterns in Grumpy Cat's face. And wait till you see what we did with TikTok dances and dimensional folding. I watched the council's reactions range from horror to fascination. These were beings who had spent millennia developing careful, calculated responses to every threat. And here were humans, suggesting they fight an ancient enemy with weaponized social media and time-bending pizza technology. The truly terrifying part, I added, is that their plans will probably work. I've seen them test the prototypes. Reality itself seems afraid to tell them no. Zarik was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. The traditional response would be to reject these proposals as too risky, too untested, too human. Amanda opened her mouth to argue, but he held up all four hands. However, he continued, traditional responses are what led us to this crisis. Perhaps it's time for something new, something weird. Really? Amanda's eyes lit up. Under one condition, he said sternly. You must promise not to tell anyone you got this idea from something called TikTok. The galaxy's not ready for that knowledge. Deal. But, quick question, how do you feel about YouTube? Because we have this whole strategy involving viral videos and quantum entanglement. I watched as humans began explaining their plans to the council, each idea more ridiculous yet brilliant than the last. They had taken the most advanced technology in the galaxy and reimagined it through the lens of social media, memes, and what they called random thoughts at 3 a.m. Commander Admiral Nick sidled up to me. Are we really going to fight an ancient threat with weapons designed by humans who got their inspiration from cat videos? I thought about everything I'd learned about humanity, their chaos, their creativity, their stubborn refusal to accept impossibility as an answer. Yes, I said. And the scariest part is, I'm pretty sure we're going to win. How can you be so confident? I pointed to where Amanda was enthusiastically explaining how they planned to confuse the swarm's hive mind by making it unable to tell whether things were cake or not. Because humans don't just think outside the box, Admiral. They take the box, turn it into a meme, make it go viral, and then use it to break the laws of physics. The swarm doesn't stand a chance. As if to prove my point, someone in the back of the chamber shouted, "Hey, what if we put googly eyes on the quantum yo-yos?" And somehow, impossibly, that made perfect sense. The signal wasn't for humans, but they answered anyway. Part 5. Victory Celebration Log. Earth date December 31st. I never thought I'd see the day when the Grand Council chamber would be decorated with what humans called party streamers, yet here we were. The normally austere space had been transformed into something Amanda called a New Year's bash, complete with floating holographic balloons and a quantum-powered disco ball. "Come on," Commander Amanda tugged at my ceremonial robes. "You promised to show everyone your dance moves." I did no such thing, I protested, but allowed myself to be pulled toward the dance floor where Council Member Nectier was attempting something called the robot. It had been 2 weeks since what humans were now calling the Great Swarm confusion. The history books would probably record it more formally, but honestly, the human name fit better. After all, how often does an ancient cosmic horror get defeated by what was essentially a galaxy-wide practical joke? Remember the looks on their faces? Marcus grinned, handing me something called a party popper when the first wave hit their hive mind. How could I forget? The swarm had approached Earth with their usual terrifying efficiency, only to be met with what humans had dubbed Operation Maximum Chaos. The combined effect of quantum yo-yo as reversed entropy fields and weaponized memes had turned their highly organized assault into something that looked more like a cosmic comedy show. My favorite part, Priya chimed in, was when the paradox fields made half their fleet think they were attending a cooking show. We still have footage of swarm ships trying to make souffles. The Council's tactical analysts were still trying to understand exactly how humans had managed to encode viral video patterns into quantum weapon systems. The leading theory was that they'd somehow turned the entire internet into one massive reality distortion field. "You have to admit," Admiral Nix said, appearing beside me with a glass of something suspiciously fluorescent, their solution was elegant, in its own chaotic way. I watched as Council Leader Zar Eek attempted to do something called the Macarena with all 4 arms. Elegant might not be the word I'd choose, but effective, she insisted. The swarm wasn't prepared for random dancing challenges and cat memes to be weaponized on a quantum level. How could they be? We weren't prepared for it, and we've been studying humans. She had a point. The swarm's greatest strength had been its ability to adapt to any conventional attack. But humans hadn't attacked conventionally. They'd turned the battle into what they called a massive multiplayer online game and invited the entire galaxy to participate. "Did you see the latest numbers?" Amanda asked, bouncing back over. "The video of the swarm ships doing synchronized swimming in that entropy field has hit trillion views across the galactic net." "Speaking of which," I said, "we need to talk about what your social media team did with the Council's emergency broadcast system. Hey, turning galactic alerts into what humans call push notifications increased engagement by 500%. And the meme templates of Council Member Proc saying such swarm, much defeat are now official diplomatic documents." Proc's gaseous form shifted in what I'd learned was embarrassment. He'd become an unexpected social media celebrity after human mimetic warfare specialists had turned his serious tactical briefings into something called wholesome content. "I still can't believe it worked," Nekta chimed in, her crystalline form glittering under the disco lights, using entertainment as a weapon, turning the entire galaxy into what humans call a social media platform. "That's because you're all still thinking of it as a weapon," Marcus explained, trying to teach a group of junior council members something called flossing. For us, it was just Tuesday. Well, Tuesday 2 weeks ago, and also next Thursday, thanks to those temporal hiccups from the quantum yo-yos. I looked around the chamber, taking in the scene. The most powerful beings in the galaxy were learning Earth dances, sharing what humans called selfies and discussing something called streaming rights for the footage of the battle. Commander Amanda said, suddenly serious, "You never did tell us what you put in your final report to the Council." I smiled, remembering the document I'd submitted just that morning. "Would you like to hear it?" She nodded eagerly, and others gathered around as I pulled up the text. Final assessment: human civilization, post-swarm crisis. To Galactic Council High Command. From Commander Rilek Voaz. In evaluating humanity's response to the swarm crisis, we must acknowledge several key points. 1. Humans do not solve problems. They redefine them until they become entertainment. 2. Their greatest weapon is not their technology, but their ability to turn anything, including ancient cosmic horrors, into content for their social media. 3. They have successfully transformed the entire galactic community into what they call followers and subscribers. 4. They defeated the greatest threat to galactic civilization by treating it like a group project with meme potential. Recommendation: immediately classify humans as a Class X civilization, a new category we'll need to create specifically for them. They are simultaneously the most promising and most terrifying species we've encountered, not because of their advanced technology, but because they refuse to believe anything is impossible if it might be funny. Additional note: they are now teaching AI systems to generate cat videos. May the precursors help us all. Final thought: the beacon wasn't meant for humans, but perhaps that's exactly why they were perfect for it. They didn't approach it with reverence or careful study. They treated it like a new toy, a puzzle to be solved between coffee breaks and social media updates. In conclusion, humanity's place in the galaxy is not what we expected. They are not our students to teach, but rather chaos agents who somehow achieve brilliance through what they call winging it. P.S. They've requested permission to turn the Galactic Council meetings into something called a reality show. I'm afraid to ask what that means. Laughter erupted around me as I finished reading. Even Council Leader Zarik was chuckling, all four hands clutching his sides. "You know what the best part is?" Amanda grinned. "That report's probably going to become a meme too. Already has Marcus called from his data pad. It's trending in 3 sectors. Someone added pictures of cats to it." I looked out at the celebration around me. Humans had taken everything we thought we knew about galactic civilization and turned it sideways. They'd defeated an ancient enemy with jokes and social media. They'd transformed the stuffiest bureaucracy in the galaxy into what they called trending content. And somehow, impossibly, they'd made the galaxy a more interesting place. Commander Amanda nudged me. "What are you thinking about?" I watched as a group of junior council members attempted to explain quantum physics using only GIFs. "I'm thinking that the galaxy wasn't ready for humans, but maybe that's exactly what it needed." "AW, you're getting sentimental in your old age." "I'm also thinking," I added, "that someone needs to explain why there's a quantum pizza floating near the ceiling." "Oh, that's not Pizza," Priya called from across the room. "That's the new defense system prototype. We call it the Space Taco Tuesday Initiative." I felt my antenna twitch. Do I want to know? Probably not. Amanda patted my shoulder. "But it's going to be awesome. We're thinking of adding googly eyes to it." As the celebration continued around me, I made one final note in my personal log. "The humans have a saying, if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid." I'm beginning to think that might be the most profound philosophical statement in the galaxy. That, or they've just memed us all into believing it is. Either way, I'm looking forward to whatever chaos they create next. Just as soon as someone explains to me what a TikTok dance battle is, and why the council is being asked to judge one. End log. P.S. Note to self: find out who taught the quantum yo-yos to play fetch with the anti-gravity pizza. Some questions are better left unanswered, but that one's going to bother me.